Hey guys, it's me, Cameron, and I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to be continuing this series that I started off 2 years ago when I listened to every album by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard in one evening. Yeah, so it took me 2 years, but I finally recovered from that experience, and I decided that I should keep this series going and make some more of these. So today I'm going to be listening to all of the studio albums released by international pop sensation boy band One Direction. I'm not going to be listening to any deluxe, any bonus tracks. I don't believe that that's necessarily canon. I can go back later and listen to those bonus tracks if I feel so inclined. But just to get a whole picture of what I was missing out on as it happened about 7 years ago, what do I know about 1D and what is my relationship to them? Well, I lived through their cultural reign, you could say. I lived through it. I was alive before and after it. I outlived their cultural reign, and I preceded it as well. But I'm not trying to to sound arrogant or anything. But I was alive before it, and I still live after it. And that's no diss to Harry or Niall or any of them. I mean, it's just objective truth. And that's not to send any shots. Whether I'll admire their music, that we're yet to see. But let me not burn bridges here. Let me not burn bridges here, because collaborative prospects in the future, perhaps any one of the 1D boys, maybe, hopefully. But that's not what this video is about. This is about me putting on my music appreciation cap all the way snugly on and just diving in. And that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, back to what is my relationship to them? Although I lived through their reign, I lived mostly parallel to it. I didn't cross paths with One Direction's music too often. Now, I would hear the radio hits, as everybody has. I can name a couple off the top of my head. The Best Song Ever, that one was prominent. There was like a rock song. I can't remember though. God, it's like a Shut Up and Dance. Is that a One Direction song? I think that's not a One Direction song. Harry, Niall, Zayn, Louis, and somebody else. So let me just pull up Wikipedia, see if I can find their look through their singles and see what I know. Oh, What Makes You Beautiful, of course. That's one. While We're Young, I think I know that one. Best Song Ever, there it is. Story of My Life, how could I forget? That's the rock song that I was thinking of. Drag Me Down. That's the rock song that I was thinking of. And other than that, I'm not too familiar with much of these singles. I only kind of started to pay attention to the different members once they split apart. I know Zayn dropped out a little bit earlier than when everybody else broke up, and then he went solo. So why am I doing this video? First of all, I'm curious as to what I've been missing. Maybe it won't be my cup of tea, and so I want to see if it is. I want to see if the music lives up to the adoration that the millions of fans across the globe put on that stuff. Another reason, like I said in the King Gizzard video, I want to know everything so that I can just dominate a conversation. That's kind of what I do everything for. A penultimate reason, I want to make a YouTube video. I wanted to try and make some algorithmic magic, like I did a bit with that King Gizzard video, if I'm being honest. And finally, why I want to do this is because I'm a little hyped for Harry's house. Ultimately, this is to celebrate Harry. Cheers, Harry. Let us jump into it. Guys, before we start the video, just wanted to pop in and say, new EP out. It's on my channel. It's on streaming. Check that out. Model Human EP. Thank you. So first album on the docket today is Up All Night released November 18th, 2011. 2 million in the US, and it got the Billboard #1 album in the US. So let's see what this has to offer. All right, I'm back after my listen to Up All Night. The general impression I got, it had some pretty good highlights, but a lot of the songs I could go the rest of my life without hearing again. Not to say that's bad. I mean, obviously it's produced and it's made to serve a purpose, and so just some of that kind of music is just like, for my taste, just doesn't align with that. Like we got a couple songs here that just sound like children's songs a little, like Up All Night. That just sounds like a straight up children's song, pop, and it's got that 4 on the floor kick drum, and every song has that 4 on the floor kick drum. Oh my god, and all the synths on every song, just like, it's just kind of like blown out. I had a thought while I was listening to this album, which is like, maybe this is not the proper group to do like a deep dive on the discography about, because I look and all the albums are released in a year, like sequentially, year after year. So how are they gonna grow as a band? I mean, they're not like they're not given the time, because they're just releasing albums, and then they're just touring, and then album touring. So maybe I'm just gonna get more of the same here. I took a couple themes from this album, a couple like recurring. So one was weakness or incapability to act in the moment, and that usually was caused by love interest being in the vicinity, and most of the time that love interest is with another man, another guy. For example, we've got in the song More Than This, I see you on the street, in his arms I get weak, my body fails, I'm on my knees praying. Just the idea of your body failing, like because you see whoever you have a crush on with another guy, I feel like that's just kind of a steep reaction. One of them, I think Niall was saying that he wants to say I love you, but the words are just he's just too weak, and the words are just falling out of his mouth onto the ground, so they're not reaching his intended recipient. Overall, I'll give this album a 4. Let me bring up the highlights though. Some of my favorite songs. One Thing, it definitely got me dancing, and it definitely just had a bop to it. Same with What Makes You Beautiful. It did sound a little like Nickelodeon music to me, but I was still down with it. I could say I would come back to that song. Another song that I liked was I Wish. I liked the chorus melody on that. There were a couple times on this album where I feel like Harry Styles hit a Bruno Mars like vocal timbre, and that was one of those times, was during the chorus to that song. But that song I would definitely come back to. There were only like a few songs written by the band, and the first one I liked, so I thought maybe the band are better writers of their songs than the other ones, because it kind of felt like a breath of fresh air. It was Taken. While we're on the subject of Taken though, it seems like the other recurring theme was love interest of the narrator of the song being with another guy. This album really should be titled Up All Night, and then in parentheses, deeply longing for lost love. Although I guess sometimes they're up all night just partying and just jumping around, just having fun, wanting to kiss a girl and hoping she'll want to kiss him back. But we'll get into the next album. Hopefully it's a little different. I don't really expect it to be too much different. Whether the music grew remains to be seen, and we will see right now. Take Me Home. Here we go. Hello. hello, I'm back. I apologize for the video cutting off. My thoughts on Take Me Home. The production was better, but I generally enjoyed it less than Up All Night. It seemed like there were less of those synths going on all the time, like less of those wall of sound moments, but somehow seemingly more, or maybe it's just an overload of that from listening to 2 albums in a row. The production seemed more nuanced, and I think the recordings were better maybe, but I really felt like the songs just blended into one another in a way that indistinct and just kind of basic, and I didn't really feel like there was much to take away from a lot of these songs, but there were a couple highlights, like Kiss You. That was one I enjoyed. It was fun, and it had a cheeky lyric that I liked. It said, "I just want to show you off to my friends, make them all drool on their chinny chin chins." Heart Attack was kind of funny with the ow. That was funny, but I didn't really enjoy that song really. I did like Rock Me. I thought it had like interesting production choices, like the stuttering snare drum at the beginning, the kind of like rock guitar felt kind of like Weezer-esque, like Say It Ain't So. Like I think maybe the chord progression was the same as Say It Ain't So, and obviously there were nods to Queen, and even though the song is kind of like ridiculous, I liked it, and I felt like just because it allowed itself to have that kind of instrumental palette or that like sonic palette of like rock, even if it was like caricature-esque, it lended itself to a hint of kind of more emotional depth than a lot of the other songs. Also, I did notice there were a couple Ed Sheeran songs. They stood out on this album just because they kind of differed from the regular basic pop songs of most of the rest of the album, in that they sounded like Ed Sheeran songs. It probably added to my enjoyment of the album. So yeah, I think it's good that 1D got Ed Sheeran. I think it's good that 1D got Ed Sheeran. Actually, that reminds me, Little Things. That was actually one of those songs that did have kind of standout lyrics. I didn't write down any specific lyrics, but I was just kind of shocked at the way the narrator is just listing off all of his love interest's insecurities in such detail. Kind of seems like why would you share that if she doesn't like that stuff about herself? Why are you pointing it out, like in getting into the nitty gritty of it? That was a highlight for me just because of the kind of stimulation it gave me. It's stimulating. The lyrics of it were stimulating in a way that a lot of these songs' lyrics were not, just because they're just kind of standard and run of the mill. I mean, and they serve a purpose, of course. And maybe I just don't align with the target demographic enough to really appreciate it in the way that it's meant to be. But anyway, we are going to move straight on onto the next album, which is Midnight Memories. Released in 2013. This is the middle album of their 5-album run. So this is like Wednesday. This is like the Wednesday of their albums. So let's see what Midnight Memories has to offer. All right. Hello, and we are back after listening to Midnight Memories. This album, I think it started off really bad, and then it got better towards the end. But I wonder if I was just hangry because I went and grabbed a snack before presuming the second half of the album. And it boosted my mood, definitely. It made me feel more alert, more generally positive. Best song ever. I know it well, and I didn't enjoy it. Story of my life, same thing. You know what it feels like? It feels like they, with a different palette than the first 2 albums. But this is also a palette that I'm not super into. It's like that kind of like pseudo indie, like, it's got that kind of like naturey, like Subaru commercial type of music for most of it. Some of the tracks, they go straight up rock. Midnight Memories, that was a rocker. I wasn't really into that one though. But the other one, Little Black Dress, I really liked the verse melodies on that. But then they had to bring it back with the pop chorus. It's just kind of like too samey, like a lot of the stuff. But yeah, towards the end it picked up. Something Great had a catchy chorus. Little White Lies, I think, was probably my favorite. My favorites were Little White Lies, Little Black Dress. I also liked the closing track, Better Than Words. It just seemed to kind of pick up steam towards the end. So I'll say more hit or miss than the last one. So maybe I'll say I enjoyed it a 4 out of 10, just because it had higher highs. And the lows weren't that different from the last one. It was just kind of like, it's just kind of like the like, blah, is this song still going? Like, you know? And I don't mean any offense when I am saying these things to anyone. Lord knows I don't want any beef with any fans of this music. I just don't want to come in here and be not genuine. So I'm just gonna tell you what I'm really feeling, what I really wrote down here on my legal pad. One thing I did notice though is that there's a lot of writing credits from Louis specifically. Some songs that are Louis and Liam. It's looking like Louis getting his shine. I feel like I didn't even mention it last time. I mean, about the last album, Take Me Home, but I recognized him singing a bit. He was kind of like, he was out there on the album. But this one, he's the writer. He's the mastermind. So that's something interesting to look out for in the next coming 2 albums. Hopefully with these next 2 albums we get just something more enjoyable. And I kind of was thinking about that as I was listening to this album, like, because when I was listening to some of the songs, I was just wishing for something better or for something else, like something that I know I like. But like, what differentiates what I like from what I dislike? What determines whether a song is good to me or not? I'm just thinking about it like maybe the chords, the things that make it stand out, the things that make it unique probably, and that's maybe why I have a problem with a lot of these songs. It's 4 chords on the floor, you know, similar sounding choruses in all of them, like similarly structured with like all the same kind of tricks being used a lot. But if you think about it, maybe this is like kind of like how the Beatles were like before they really started writing their own stuff, mostly, where it was just like they just recorded for the singles, they recorded for the hits, and the album was just more songs. But it wasn't like it's not like a project that you want to like, that you're gonna take as a cohesive kind of statement on its own. So maybe that's what I should look at these albums as, just take it song by song. But I was also just thinking about, like, where is this coming from? Like, what kind of music is this derived from? It just kind of seems like so constricted in the confines of like being like lowest common denominator, just completely agreeable music. Maybe less so this album than the first 2, because we got a little bit of some inappropriate, a little shushed cursing. There was a funny lyric. If he feels my traces in your hair, sorry love, but I don't care. Traces of what? Anyway, what's we got next on the docket? Okay, the 4th album is handily titled 4. Came out in 2014. Penultimate album. Let's see what this has to offer. I'll be back. Okay, we are back after listening to 4. And I just gotta say, thank God, that was actually pretty freaking good. I feel justified in everything that I was saying before now. It wasn't just my general mood problems and just getting tired or anything. I think that finally, like, this group has come into their own in a way of like making some good ass songs. Right off the bat, Steal My Girl goes hard, and I think it's a hard opener Ready to Run. It had energy. I'm not gonna go through all the tracks one by one right now. I just want to say that every song on here is better than pretty much every song from all three of their previous albums to me. And I don't know what was in the air, what was in the water, what was in the group dynamic. Maybe it was just the songwriting chops of Louis and Liam just bolstered up and just absolutely on display here. It just feels like there's soul in this. Like there's some soul in the music, like in a way that I felt like the last three albums were all lacking. Some favorites: Steal My Girl. My favorite songs off of this album: Steal My Girl, Girl Almighty, which I thought had interesting production. No Control. I loved that one because it just had an infectious energy and just a kind of rawness. Clouds also. It had such flavor, and I thought it was an epic outro. I pretty much liked almost every song from here. Some of them were just like okay, but most of them I liked. My least favorite song was 18. It just kind of doesn't meet the mark in that way, but it probably still would be better than most of the songs on the third album. It felt like this was what Midnight Memories was trying to be, but it actually succeeded this time. It was tasteful. I feel like it had more standoutish melodies, and it had way more of an infectious energy throughout, and it felt young but not forced, and it didn't feel corporate. It still felt a little corporate, but it's a One Direction. What are you gonna do? But it didn't feel wholly artificial. So yeah, I did appreciate this album, and I'd say I'd rate it like a 7 out of 10 on it in enjoyment. That was the last of Zayn. He's out of here. Maybe they will continue to build on what they had started with 4 and deliver a really good last album, a good farewell album. Let's get into it. All right, we made it. Last one was Made in the AM. I thought it was okay. I don't think it was better than 4. I thought it had some interesting stuff on it, some fun stuff, some explorational stuff. But I don't know, something about the songs on 4 just struck me as the most well put together. Some interesting songwriting concepts on here, like Love You Goodbye, more like F You Goodbye, am I right? Or Smash You Goodbye. Highlights: I loved Drag Me Down. I feel like I even liked it when I heard it on the radio way back when. Long Way Down also was a good one for me. It just felt like it was genuinely emotionally evocative. I Want to Write You a Song stood out because it seemed pretty sincere and innocently written and even recorded. And I thought for sure that one of the boys would have gotten a writing credit on it, but no. It seemed like the most writing credits everybody got was maybe on 4, but a lot of the songs on Made in the AM have at least Louis, or they have both Liam and Louis, or they have Niall or Harry. So it was cool. End of the Day was fun, and it kind of reminded me of the band Fun as well. Never Enough is Niall a flat earther. Also History. I felt like that was a perfect closer and a great send off to the band, and it kind of made me feel a little sentimental, even though I've gone through this whole journey with them only in one day. I'm gonna rate Made in the AM 5.5 because I can't give it a 6 because there's no way 4 is only 1 point above Made in the AM. But I can't give it a 5 because that feels kind of too negative and too close to those first albums that I gave 4s. I'll give it a 5.5. So my ranking for all of the 1D albums would go 4, Made in the AM, Midnight Memories, Up All Night, and Take Me Home. 4 is when they definitely start to get into their own thing, and I feel like if they had kept going together as a group, I mean, who knows what kind of pressures they had in their lives and their touring and all this all the while, so who am I to say, but it seemed like they were on an upward trajectory after Midnight Memories. But we still have Solo Harry, Solo Zayn, Solo Nile, Solo Liam. I don't know about Louis, but he did do a lot of the writing on these albums, so I feel like he should continue writing. It seemed like he was seeing a knack for it. So what I took away from this, I guess, is I'll definitely listen to 4, and I'll definitely listen to Made in the AM, though it's not my favorite. But yeah, if you watched to the end of the video, thank you. I appreciate your viewership. Hopefully I can do this more often. Hopefully I can make YouTube videos. I'll be back probably with another one of these videos. Maybe subscribe if you want more of this and other type of content. Thanks, guys. Love to y'all out there. Be safe and be prosperous.